يلا يا كامل تفضل.
بسم الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you everyone for joining in our presentation, and especially thank you Dr. Muhammad Haddad for giving us this opportunity to present our ideas and plans for this course. Because this software is not only for this course, but we hope to see it in our kingdom, inshallah. Before we begin, let's talk who are we and what we did in this project. First of all, you have your friend, your colleague, Wael Habib al-Kihani. I worked as a documentation engineer in this presentation. Basically, I did everything related to reports, presentation, and diagrams. Basically, everything that's documented was done by me, and of course, helped by my friends.
Thank you, Wael. I'm engineer Faraz Al-Hammas. I'm a SQL engineer. I have designed some diagrams and SQL queries. Also, I have helped in the interface. And now, in engineering, I might introduce himself.
Assalamu alaikum. I am engineer Ahmad Zahrani. I am a Java engineer who is responsible for designing the interfaces and coding. And also I'm a SQL engineer who helped to design and creating the database for our project. Engineer Wael will start to present our project.
Thank you so much. Before I begin about the presentation, I have a question for you, Dr. Haddad. What is the first word that comes in your mind when you listen Mukhalafa? What type of Mukhalafa comes in your mind?
Bullshit. I feel angry.
What type of Mukhalafa that makes you angry?
Talking while I'm driving.
مخالفات مرورية. So our presentation about my app's name is Mukhalafa, traffic violations. But how did we get this idea, and what is this idea based on? So in a nutshell, I'm going to tell you a story on how I got this idea. A while back, I went to Dubai with my family for vacations. During our visit, we went to a restaurant to eat food. When we finished our food and we came out, upon exit, we saw a board written paid parking. And when we entered, we didn't know. So right now, we were in a pickle that do we have a fine or no? But we were tourists in Dubai. So we didn't have access to their government portals to see if we got any fine or not. At that moment, my relative, who is a citizen in Dubai, is a UAE citizen, he asked me about my car number plate. Within seconds, he found out that I had a Mukhalafa, I had a fine. I was shocked, because as an IT student and a Saudi, I know that it's difficult for us to know if we got a fine or not. We have to go to Upshare, sign in, and then we see it. I got curious, and I asked him about it, and now I'm presenting my idea to you guys. Basically, our idea is catered to those who are not Saudi residents or Saudi citizens, because our vision is to attract tourists. And when a tourist comes, they may rent a car or do related to traffic interactions. So we have to make a portal for them so that they can access traffic information. So our basic idea is to provide access to traffic transactions without needing to sign up and everything.
And now, let's discuss the problem and solution. Have you ever wanted to buy a car from someone, but you didn't know if there were fines in the car? Well, I have looked at how to find out fines in an easy and quick way. These issues are resolved by our project. It's make it simple to access information about any car plate you want. If we want to work with the government and implement our project in a large scale, we will add a payment section used for pay the fines and pay the fines. And then you can pay in a several way. For example, MasterCard, Tamara, Apple Pay, or through a website like National Water Company. As I said, our project is used to simplify access information about any car plate you want. And now let's move on to the approach with NGY.
During our software development process, we use waterfall method. Why didn't we use the agile, for example, or something else that's more advanced? We had 4 reasons. The first one is the requirements are well known and fixed. Our main focus is to provide information, to provide insurance information if implemented in large scale, and as my colleague Faraz said, to make pay on website easier. That was fixed, it will not be changed. The second one is the technology we are using is well known. It's fixed, SQL and Java. If implemented on large scale, it will also have a fixed technology and it will not change. The third one is because it's done in a real life organization in a large scale. As I told you guys, I saw it in UAE that they implemented a very absolutely working application with millions of users. And we hope to do it in our kingdom as well. The last one, because this is a project and it needs collaboration with the government, so it has to be well documented. And that's why we chose waterfall.
And now, the first diagram is use case. Like you see, it has 2 actors or 2 sides. The first one is user actor. It has 3 options. It can display the fines. And the second option is get insurance and information. And the last thing is pay the fines. In the other hand, we got the government employee actor. It has 4 options. It has the login, and it can add the fines, or delete the fines, or view or display the fines like that the user actor has. And then Engineer will continue the diagram.
Moving on, we have activity diagram. So basically our activity diagrams has 2 main users, public user and government employee. Public user, its main focus is to display data. So it will enter the app without any sign-in, and then it will either view insurance data that we can provide later, or car plate data if it has fines or not. On the other hand, government employees has to first of all sign in, and the credentials will be given by the government. After they sign in successfully, if they don't sign in successfully, they will be sent back to the page to re-sign because their credentials are wrong. But when they enter the application, they have 3 data. First one, the same as the public user to view data, and 2 more. First, add new fines and delete new fines. Maybe because of a user's disapproval of a fine or something, we can easily delete manually the fines. The third one is sequence diagram. Sequence diagram basically interaction between the user, the government employee, and the database within the time frame. So what happens is the user enters the application. Without the need of login or sign in, it just enters the car plate number, and the database will give it everything related to that car plate fine data. That's it for the user. On the other hand, the government employee, this loop is categorized as sign in. This starts after the government employee signs in. As soon as they sign in, they can do multiple things. First of all, they can give order, as the user did in the first place. The same thing as the user did, and they can give order of add and remove. Based on their order, the database will return a status, whether it was successful, it wasn't successful, maybe the number plate is not in the database, or maybe it has been already worked, so it will return the status.
And the fourth diagram is UML case diagram. It has 3 classes. The first one is car plate data database. It has 5 data fields that you see: car ID and coordinates. That means the location of the find, and the name of the find, and the amount, and the last thing, the ID of the find. And it has only one method: get car plate information. It displays all the information related to the car plates. And the second one is it has only the user. It has only get car plate information methods, and the last thing, government employee. It has 2 data fields: email and password for login. And it has 3 methods: get car plate information, like the other methods, and the add car info. It will add the fine, and the last one it will delete the fine. And now Engineer Imad will discuss the diagram, ER scheme.
Okay. This is the ER diagram for our database. As we see, we have five main entities. First entity we have is a car entity, and it has a car ID as a primary key, and model car, chassis number, and a multi-value attribute is a color, and car plate, and odometer. Second entity we have is a brand, and it has a brand ID as a primary key, and the name and the model. And it has one-to-many relationship with the car entity, where multiple cars can share the same brand. The third entity we have is a fine entity, and it has a FID or fine ID as a primary key, and it has the amount, the name, and the coordinates of the fine. And it has one-to-many relationship with the car, where each car can have multiple fines. The fourth entity you have is a car owner, and it has a national ID as a primary key, and it has gender, email, and the composite attribute. It's a name. It has first name and last name. The last attribute is a phone number, and it's also a multi-value attribute as the color. The last entity you have is the admin, and it has the email as the primary key and the password. As we see here in the car table, we have a national ID as a foreign key. It's referred to the owner who owned the car, and also a brand ID which refers to the name and the model of the car. And we have two additional tables: it's owner phone and car color. It's both of them are multi-valued attribute. So to avoid the redundancy of the data, we created those two tables. The interface of our application, as we see here, it's when this page will present it when you start our application, and it has two buttons. As we see here, there is a login and continue as a guest. If you are an admin and you have an account that's provided by SQL administrator, you can join as an administrator. Or if you are a normal user for our application, you can continue as a guest without needing our account. This interface for the administrator, if he has the account to log in, and you see here there is three functions: add, delete, and display. For add function, you need to fill out all the text boxes to add a new file to our database. And if you want to use the delete function, you just need to enter the fine ID. Then it will be removed from our database. To display function, you just need to enter the car plate of the car that you want to see its fine for. So, and as we see here, it's the guest interface. When you continue as a guest, you have only one function, which is the display function, the same as we see in the administrator interface. Thank you for listening. Feel free to ask before we go to start our application.
All
Good.
And now we will start to implement our application as a guest. Continue as a guest. It will show the car plate here. Now the user will enter the car plate, any car plate. It will enter it, and it will show or display all the fines that related to this car plate. And like you see, this is the fine ID, and this is the amount of the fine, and this is the name of the fine, speed, and the last thing, the coordinates, that's mean the location of the fine.
Now we'll start to log in for our application by using an admin account. Here, while we'll start to log in. as we explained before, this is the interface of the administrator who can add and remove any fine. So to add a new fine, we just need the car ID to the car and the coordinates of the fine, the name and the amount and the fine ID.
For example, let's put an input. Okay, any coordinates? CPIT. Fine name, speeding, for example. Amount 150 riyals. FID. How much? FID. Car ID, right? Car ID. Thank you. Let's add a date. Insert is successful. Come.
So,
As we see here, this is the fine that we just added now. So to remove it, we need just to fill this text box by writing the fine ID of the fine you want to delete. Click on delete. Delete successfully. Click on display again. As you see here, it's removed from our database.
Now, before we just end our presentation, as you can see here, there is no sign up. So, for example, if you have Dr. Muhammad Haddad, you joined our organization. How can you sign in? Your login password and user email will be given by a SQL administrator. Let's take a look. We will create a username for you right now through SQL, because it will be given to the employee by an SQL administrator, because no normal person can sign in there like this. Okay? We put Haddad at KU. Okay. .com. .sa. What do you want password? 1 to 3? Put the password 1 to 3. And commit. Now let's say if you have the access of, or you have access to our system or not. Let's try again. Haddad at ku.sa. Password 1 to 3. Login. As you can see, you don't. But any other student in this class cannot join. Thank you so much.
and that's it. Thank you so much
Thank you so
for listening.
بالله يصفقوا هذا شو وقف الثلاثة بيرفكت.
Thank you so much.
أنا ممنون إنه أنتوا عالجتوا النقاط. حتى أنا واستمع لكم ما جت في بالي. والله برافو عليكم. Congratulations. full mark presentation. مرة سعيدين. كنت أتمنى أنكم تكونوا زي طلال، بس فعلا تكونوا على طلال.
الله يسلمك.
شكرا.
هو دكتور اعذرني على العكيت.
ما عكيت. very normal. very normal. اللي أنت سويته very normal. أنا ممنون إنه حتى زميلك يقول لك أقلب عربي ما عندك مشكلة. لكن هو لو بدي أديك ملاحظة، الملاحظة الوحيدة إنه أنت كنت تمشي كثير. يعني زي بندول الساعة كذا كثير تجي. which is fine. يعني هذه first round، بعد كده أنت حتلاقي نفسك صرت وحش. أنا مرة ممنون إنه
احنا راجعنا قبل كذا ما ترضى، بس لما شفناك شفنا العدد كبير فعشان كذا
ما شاء الله لا ممتازين صراحة. هذه first presentation صراحة بس. حتجدوا إن شاء الله أنتوا شغلكم كمانجرز حتلاقي 80% من شغلكم presentation. بالذات اللي ربنا يوفقه ويروح يشتغل في أراضيكم، ويا ريت كلكم تشتغلوا في أراضيكم.
ان شاء الله.
بإذن الله الله يوفقكم إن شاء الله. مبروك مبروك.
شيل شماخ يا دكتور.
خلاص. يا أخي أنا كنت بقول لك صلحها شويتين بس كنت خليك زي ما هي.
والله انا كنت